Why are you a better candidate to challenge Rush Holt than Scott Sipprelle is?
2010 is a watershed year.
Right.
The one thing we've seen from Chris Christie to Scott Brown to the Tea Party groups to the GOP clubs I've been speaking to for a year.
Right.
The one thing we've seen, anyone who's paying attention has seen, is that this year is a watershed year, and Republicans have a tremendous opportunity to get back to their true selves, to get back to their own Republican values, and those are winning values. And the message this year is about those winning Republican values. And the message this year is about how Congress is out of touch with those values. The Democrats in Congress are way out of touch with smaller government, less spending, lower taxes, less regulation, getting government off our backs. If the message is that Rush Holt is out of touch, which is what we talk about a lot, he's never had to work for a living. You know, he's never had to worry about where his next paycheck comes from. He grew up in a family of elected officials. His father was a congressman. His mother worked for the state of West Virginia. Never had to worry about his health insurance. Never had to worry about his pension. He went from school to graduate school to the University of Princeton, or Princeton University as a professor, and eventually as an administrator in their lab. You know, he always had a public paycheck. He always had a public pension. He always had public health insurance. That has put him in a place where he has no idea what it's like to be on the street making a living. He has no idea what it's like to be worried about whether you're going to have a job the next day.
Yeah, but why are you a better choice than Scott Sipprelle to take him out?
Well, look at Scott Sipprelle. He's a multimillionaire, you know, from Princeton. Doesn't have to worry about where his next paycheck's coming from. He's retired at age 47. The message is who's out of touch, who's more out of touch with the populace. You know, Rush Holt's out of touch. Scott Sipprelle is pretty out of touch.
But he's got a lot of money, and he's willing to spend at least $1.2 million of it himself to beat Rush Holt. And
really?
He's not. Is he? Isn't he?
When you put Scott Sipprelle and Rush Holt next to each other, they're not. Scott Sipprelle doesn't beat Rush Holt.
What do you mean?
Well, he's not going to get any bigger vote out of Mercer County than Rush Holt, and he's not going to get a vote out of Monmouth County.
You don't think so? Why not?
No. Because all the Republicans that have ever run in Monmouth County haven't gotten a plurality out of Monmouth County that you need to get to overcome Rush Holt and Mercer County.
So you don't? Are you going to beat Rush Holt in Mercer County?
No, but I'm going to do equally as well as Scott Sipprelle.
So you'll do bad. So how are you going to beat him? Rush Holt's going to. You're just conceding that Rush Holt's going to win Mercer County.
No, Rush Holt is going to do well in Mercer County. That's where he's from. I'm going to beat him in Monmouth County handily. I'm going to beat him in Middlesex County handily. I'm going to beat him in Hunterdon County and in Somerset County. And by beating him in all those places, we beat him. We easily overcome his plurality in Mercer County. Look at the Christie election. You know, Christie won this district by over 17,000 votes, but he lost the Mercer County towns.
Right.
You know, but he won Monmouth, he won Middlesex, he won Hunterdon, he won Somerset.
Yeah, but Rush Holt's comfortable life and Scott Sipprelle's comfortable life are different. I mean, Scott hasn't been on the public dole. He made his money, and being retired at 47 is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying who's the better messenger? Who's the messenger to talk about the issues of jobs and the economy and trying to make a living and make ends meet and pay your mortgage, facing foreclosure? Who's the better messenger? A guy that addresses those issues, you know, with people every day. In my job as a real estate attorney, I talk about short sales and foreclosures. As a mayor, I hear from people in my town and try to help people in my town who are facing foreclosure and short sales, who've lost their jobs.
Scott would say, and a lot of people would agree with him, the person who can afford to get the message out is a better messenger.
Well, you know what? Scott's going to say that.
How, well,
because that's all he has. Listen, if Scott Sipprelle didn't come forward in his very first press release tell us he was going to spend $1.2 million of his own money, if he hadn't done that, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Why not?
Because that's all he has.
But how are you going to compete with that? How are you going to? I mean, Rush Holt has approximately $600,000 in the bank from his account, but nobody is going to dispute the fact that he can easily raise a couple $1,000,000.
Sure.
Scott has already put up $250,000. Is pledged to put up another $1 million of his own money if it's matched by other donors. So he's confident in his ability to raise another $1 million and match it with himself. How are you going to compete with that?
By getting the message out.
How are you going to get the message out?
Listen, let me tell you about, never has it been so easy to overcome money as it is today. I can go back to my office right now and hit 15,000 plus voters without spending a penny. The email list that I've developed over the past year, the email list that the volunteer database, the voter database that I have developed and that I have from being out there talking to people for the past year.
Can't Scott just buy a list like that?
Well, yeah, but maybe he can.
Uh-huh.
But is that what you want your representative in Washington to be able to do?
I want the guy to win. And I've told you this. I would like you to win. I appreciate that. I've told you that I envisioned attending your swearing in and putting my feet on your desk in your office. I haven't done that since I did it to Tip O'Neill when I was in college, and he wasn't happy about it. But that's a real. We're asking convention voters, and we're asking screening committee voters to choose you with a risky strategy of winning without money, which is what I'm hearing you say now.
No, wait. That's not. Don't get caught up in with winning without money. I'm going to raise plenty of money. I have, and I will continue to raise money. I mean, money. We're going to have money.
How much are you going to raise, and how are you going to do it?
We're going to raise as much as we need, and we're going to do it by doing what we've been doing. We have fundraising events. We have a very big internet presence.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of grassroots support. I mean, I'm telling you, the $10, $25, $50, $100 donors, I got 100 of them. I mean, I'm raising a lot of money already over the internet. The traditional ways, dialing for dollars, they call it, making phone calls.
Uh-huh.
I'm raising money. Now, I'll tell you what, since Scott got in this race,
right,
I've raised a lot of money because the people who I've been talking to now realize how valuable it is to have me out there talking to them, and I've gotten a lot of donations simply by the fact that there's another guy in the race.
So at the end of the last reporting period, you had roughly $30,000. I think you'd raised 70 and you'd spent.
We'd raised 70 and we'd spent roughly. I think we had between 40 and 50,000 on hand at the end of the last period.
Okay, and so what do you got on hand now?
We're going to be we anticipate being well over six figures at the next reporting.
Does that mean 150,000, or does that mean 700,000?
Well, it's not going to be 700,000, but it'll be in the $150,000 plus range.
So it's going to be less than $200,000.
That we don't know.
Okay.
We still have.
Roughly, where's it at now?
Where is that right now? We've probably raised close to 100,000 right now.
On hand or raised?
Not on hand.
Because you raised 70 before this quarter started.
Yes.
So you raised about another 30 this quarter?
You know what? I don't know where our numbers are so far this quarter. I can tell you I've raised a lot of money this quarter, but I don't get a daily printout from our treasurer.
Uh-huh.
And checks come in and they go out, and I don't always see what comes in and goes out. But I can tell you that we have raised a lot of money this quarter, and we're going to raise a lot more. We have 5 events in March.
Mm-hmm.
We have some big dollar events that we're getting a very favorable response to. We're going to keep raising that money.
And about the internet, raising money on the internet, you said you had 100 of them. That doesn't sound like a lot.
100 what?
When you said the 5, 10, 15,
Hundreds.
You said you had hundreds of those donors.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, you said you can get to 15,000 voters like that,
yep.
And you've got hundreds of donors. And yeah, the Democrats have nationally been much better raising money on the internet. Do you have a plan to tap into the grassroots?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or can you raise $2 million?
I can
between now and October, or now and
I have plan in place to raise over $1 million between now and Election Day.
And is $1 million going to be enough?
In 2010, it will be.
It will.
Absolutely.